Good afternoon and welcome to the very first episode of SJHL Weekly. My name is Jeromy, Corrigan, the new media manager for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Thanks so much for joining us, and I have the privilege to be joined by one of my co-hosts, the voice of the Notre Dame Hounds, that is Jamie Neugebauer. Jamie, thanks so much for coming back and reigniting this show with me. It's so exciting to have SJHL hockey coming back. Yes, we are very spoiled to be here at the Cooperators today. Big shout out to the Regina Exhibition Association and the Cooperative Center for having us here today while we get our studio all renovated and ready for the show. Now, we do also have to mention, too, we are missing one of our co-hosts, Rory McGoran. He is not here, unfortunately. He gets some nice R&R before the season starts. But good news is he will be back for next week. So it's very exciting. Very exciting to have the gang back together. Yeah, sorry about that. No, that's okay.
Rory needed a little golf time,
oh, fair enough.
Guy works hard for the Humboldt Broncos and the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, so hope he's having a blast wherever he is. Rory, we miss you.
We do miss you. And we're going to have a lot of fun this year with the SJHL Weekly. But let's get into the show topics, and let's start chatting for the show. And the first thing I want to bring up with you, because you were there for the entire week and a half, and that is the Centennial Cup. When you look back, as we put a bow on last year, Jamie, and the Centennial Cup, what do you think about when you think about that historic event for the community of Estevan?
Well, the first thing I think about is off the ice, and I think about the way that it was put together
and
organized. Obviously, Hockey Canada always does such a great job organizing events. You know, they don't spare any expense. It's organized really well, the 10-team format. Looking forward to talking to Commissioner Kyle McIntyre about the 10-team format, the Centennial Cup. But the Estevan Bruins and the Flin Flon Bombers, you know, very competitive. And it was a great time to be there as well. Myself and Nolan Cole got a chance to call a lot of it. So, you know, all around, it was an incredible time.
And it was the first time in about 10 years that the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League played host to the Centennial Cup, a historic event. And like you mentioned, the first time that, you know, a league champion from every team was there. What did you think of the new format?
Yeah, I really liked it. I like to see all the teams. You know, it does allow for a blowout or two more. I think maybe the Brooks Bandits were going to blow anyways, just between you and me and our friends out there. But that being said, you know, you get a chance to see, you know, this guy or that guy from Sioux Thunderbirds maybe.
Right.
He's going to be in the NHL one day. There was a couple really young kids on the Sioux who were going to be great players, even though the team didn't have success, for example. So you can see how your teams all stack up. So yeah, the SJHL stacks up against the Northern Ontario League or the OJHL, and you know, learn, grow, and you know, it was just also a blast to see people from across Canada. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know, what stuck out to you?
Well, I just think the fact that, you know, the community of Estevan got to play host to the Centennial Cup, I mean, it's a world-class facility down in Estevan at Affinity Place. Throughout my travels, just seeing all the Junior A hockey rinks across Western Canada, it's hard to argue it's not one of or the best facility, and the community of Estevan really showed out for that event. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League gets to play host to the Centennial Cup here soon once again. Now, obviously, this is the first episode of SJHL Weekly. The preseason has come and gone. Plenty of action during the preseason. Quickly, before we get into our first real segment of the show, what stuck out for you, Jamie, from the preseason? Because I know you were busy. You watched a bunch of hockey games. What stuck out for you?
Well, the first thing is that I feel like a lot of the organizations in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League were very brave.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, hey, let's go out like L'Orange did and take on Fort McMurray, and Battleford's taking on Bonnyville and Lloyd, and Melville coming in, getting Dauphin and Swan Valley. So they got an opportunity to make their players a little uncomfortable, get them to come in, maybe go out somewhere else, have a little fun, see a different jersey. So there was that element, and again, the skill level from the SJHL continues to grow. Teams keep giving young guys opportunity, and it was a blast as a result.
And I think it's a good measuring stick when you get to see, you know, teams from the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League going up against teams from the Alberta Junior Hockey League, and of course, as well, the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. And it makes the preseason kind of exciting for you know, Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League teams and the fans, because you get to see different teams.
welcome Lloyd Minster.
Exactly.
These places in Alberta and Manitoba are not that far away.
No.
Some of these places in Saskatchewan. Sometimes they're closer to those teams in Saskatchewan than other SJHL teams. But otherwise, again, the brave element was a big part of it. And, some teams were busier than others. Every organization is different. They're going to have to do different things for their organization. But overall, it was a lot of fun and a great tune-up to whet the appetite for the regular season.
And of course, the regular season begins this Friday. We will get to that. It's obviously at the end of the show. Preseason has come and gone, but we are going to take a look now at every team in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Jamie has been dubbed the Elliot Friedman of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League by our Commissioner Kyle McIntyre, who we will hear from later on in the show. But we would like to hear your expertise of players you want to pay attention to, that fans maybe should be paying attention to this season in the SJHL. So we are going to run through all 12 teams, and Jamie is going to give his player to watch for each team. So first and foremost, let's start with the Weyburn Red Wings. Obviously a tough year last year, but there are some positives. Who's one player you'd like to pay attention to?
I'm going to go right to the top here, and it's Ty Mason, 2005 birth year, the youngest kid to be a regular in the SJHL last year. He spent some time Winnipeg Ice Camp. You think about a young, skilled player, you think, maybe he'll be a little timid, maybe he'll back off. That's not Ty. He's tough. Dad Willie was a tough customer in the SJ as well for the rival Estevan Bruins. But Ty, I love the way he plays. Goes hard, goes straight to the net, never intimidated. So, very, very good to see. And I think second generation SJHLer. The last thing I'll say about Ty is got a couple more games in the off season, I should say, at the Indigenous National Championship for Team Saskatchewan in Nova Scotia. So, a couple more games of development, plus the development at the Winnipeg Ice Camp. So, great for Ty.
And a lot of great pieces in Weyburn this season. One player I'd like to quickly mention is just Matthew Gauthier. Congratulations to Matthew Gauthier, because not only is he a great hockey player, he's also an outstanding lacrosse player. He got selected 9th overall in the National Lacrosse League draft recently, so congratulations to Matthew. Now, in Nipawin, it was a tough year for the Nipawin Hawks last year, a year of change. But who really stands out for you that might make a significant jump this year?
Yeah, a real transition, and one guy that I think that will take advantage of playing in a Tad Cozen system as opposed to a Doug Johnson. Obviously, Doug Johnson off to OCN in the Manitoba Junior League now. Is Carson Dobson, and he was a captain in Battleford's AAA, high energy guy. He had 24 points on a Nipawin team last year that had a lot of trouble scoring. So I really expect him to break out in a slightly more offensively geared system under Tad Cozen. He's also from nearby Dodsley. And one of the things about me, people who pay attention to the show, I love when local boys to their centers get an opportunity, and Carson is one of those guys.
And the interesting thing is, with Tad Cozen taking over for the Nipawin Hawks, is the fact when Tad Cozen was in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, he was a highly offensive, explosive player. And you have to think, his first year, that's going to be kind of the style of hockey that they're going to hopefully play this year.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. They got Ryland Lefebvre in there.
Yeah.
As well. They have a couple pieces back, a decent core coming back in Nipawin too, and that community, that fan base is unbelievable. Love that
fan base in Nipawin. They deserve a great team and a great product.
Now let's go to Melville, where there's some really good pieces there, and one player, I know you and I have been talking about him quite a bit pre-show, and that's Noah Wills, and he is poised to have an outstanding year.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem for every team in this league.
Yes.
He had 23 goals, 50 points last year as, really a rookie. Never going to be a power forward guy, but he never gets hit because he's always thinking he's so slick. And he's got a bullet of a shot and a quick release, a very deceptive release. I actually saw him yesterday score a beautiful goal, and he's got a lot of trust from Mike Rooney. Also to play shorthanded, Melville's going to be dangerous on the penalty kill to score some shorthanded goals. And another thing I will say about Noah Wills is 98% average in high school. So at D1 schools, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, no kidding.
98%, and he's a pure sniper, top 5 point getter in the league for me this year.
And the thing is with Noah Wills, too, it's last year, when you think about the Melville Millionaires, and, they finished 10th place in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, you mentioned he was almost a point per game, and that's the most points a player has had for the Melville Millionaires since Ian McNulty in 2012-2013. It's pretty incredible. So it's going to be a really exciting year
Yeah,
in Melville.
and he's got weapons to play with. Nicolas
Yes.
Samson and Zach Kane is back healthy. And, they added a couple more pieces here and there. And those are the big three kind of for Melville. So he's not certainly doing it alone. And high expectations in Melville this year, man.
And another team that just missed out on the playoffs was the Kindersley Clippers. Who's someone that you think is poised to have a good year this year for them?
Yeah, everybody talks about the big points guys, the flashy player. Right. I love the steady Eddie D-man. Let's be honest. I love a D-man that gets the puck up the ice and is just a beast in his own zone. He punishes, and that's Josh Morton. I think one of the real underrated players in the SJHL, maybe the best defensive defenseman in the SJHL coming into this season. One of them, anyways, at 6'3", 200 pounds. Any highlight you see of Josh Morton, he's just leaving a mark on the guy he's hitting. And, there's a lot of continuity on that D-core in Kindersley. I think Ken Plaquin did a good job of stocking that those shelves. Again, Josh Morton, not a flashy guy, but he's going to get more opportunity with special teams, and you see him blowing up guys there in the highlight reels there. So, I love a steady Eddie, and that's Josh Morton.
And if you want to look at point production, and I think for the Kindersley Clippers, Tylen Hilbig's set to probably he was their leading scorer last year for the Kindersley Clippers, and it looks like he's ready to take that next step, and I'm sure the Clippers expect him to take that next step, especially as a local hockey player. Like you mentioned earlier, what you like to see out of these teams, a local product performing for his local team. Now, speaking of next team, let's go to the team that you are the most familiar with, and that is the Notre Dame Hounds, a team that looks like has a great back end, like you mentioned, and you love your defenseman, so another defenseman to keep your eye out for.
Yeah, well, I could have gone a long list, obviously, paying such close attention to the Hounds. And I should also say this list is not necessarily, the most important player or da-da-da-da. It's a guy that I am really interested to watch. And one guy I'm really interested to watch is Will Dawson, the forward up front out of Michigan, because the Hounds lost Kevin Anderson, they lost Elliot Dupuil, they lost John Owens. A lot of points out the door for Notre Dame. Will Dawson has not really ever been in that role where he is relied upon. He had 8 goals after February 26th last year. He had 15 on the year, so you can see his production in a very short period of time. See that goal against Estevan, he really sniped it. So, Will is a guy that gets lots of opportunity this year, and really excited to see what he can do in his second year in the league.
And like you mentioned, he is going to have a great opportunity this year to really elevate his game and be higher up in the lineup, and he's going to get all those opportunities to produce this year for the Notre Dame Hounds. Now, let's go up north to the Larange Ice Wolves, finishing 7th in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League last year. Tough loss to the Humboldt Broncos last year in the playoffs, but a very close series. But who's someone returning for them that you're keeping your eye out for?
So, just a preamble, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when the trade deadline last year, when Trevor Blevins, the head coach and GM of the Melfort Mustangs, and Kevin Kaminski for Larange were making this deal because Trevor Blevins did not want to give up Ty Evans in any way, shape, or form, and for good reason. And Ty ended up being Larange's #1 centerman, really exploded offensively, really excited to see what he's going to do in the second year. Usually, Kevin Kaminski doesn't give this type of an opportunity to younger guys. Ty Evans last year really proved himself to Kevin Kaminski and staff, so he's going to be a top player, big-time points, and really excited to see what Ty Evans looks like when everybody's got the target on his back.
And another player I'd like to actually just quickly mention for the Larange Ice Wolves that I think could have a very good year for them is in between the pipes with Dawson Smith. Getting into as many games as he did last year for the Larange Ice Wolves with the injury to Xavier Canyon. I think that's going to really help him moving into his 19-year-old year, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. It was an emergency type of situation. Larange was desperate for some goaltending help with Xavier Cannon, unable to stay healthy. So, good for Dawson Smith and good for the Ice Wolves this year.
Now let's go to Yorkton, and an incredible season last year, finishing 6th in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, but upsetting the Melfort Mustangs in the first round of the playoffs. A great playoff series. But then a very busy offseason for them because they had to fill some holes and they lost some players that I don't think they were expecting to lose. But who's someone, you're keeping your eye on for Yorkton?
Yeah, well, it's a two-headed monster for me for Yorkton.
Right.
I can't say, Karsten Kruska without saying Clay Sleva. You have to say them both. You know, I'm going to say Karsten Kruska just because he had such a great playoffs and was such a big part of upsetting the apple cart with Yorkton beating Melfort. He's a pure finisher. Sliva's the exciting speed demon, and Kruska just picks his spots and bangs the puck home. But it's a great combo for Yorkton, and so my guy is Karsten Kruska.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting for Yorkton because we're going to see a lot of new players coming in, and we'll see how you know, they adjust to the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and we'll see, you know, their forward group, I think, for the most part, there's a lot of unknowns there. But we're going to see relatively early on how they are in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Next up, the Flin Flon Bombers. You saw them lots last year, Jamie.
Yeah.
Between, you know, the regular season, the playoff run, an incredible playoff run for the Flin Flon Bombers. Yeah. The Centennial Cup, some heartbreaking losses for them, but now they're hoping, you know, with this core coming back, you know, they hope to make that last step for them, but they have some really good returning pieces.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jeromy, that they played a lot more games than a lot of other people
A lot of
did,
experience.
and got the Centennial Cup experience.
Yeah.
And the one guy that stuck out in every shape, every opportunity was Jaden Mercier for me. I think one of the more dynamic. You think maybe Noah Wills, Jaden Mercier, 1A, 1B is the most dynamic individual talents offensively coming into the league this year. You know, he had 2 goals and 6 points at the Centennial Cup. Hard place to score goals, put up points. He was almost point per game in the playoffs as well, the Saskatoon native. And, you know, he is electric. He is dynamic. You see him scoring goals at the Centennial Cup level. He's got that, and he brings it back to Flin Flon that has an incredible decor. You know, Mike Reagan is thrilled about that. Cole Dupero had a great preseason too. So, you know, there's some pieces in Flin Flon. Anybody who overlooks them is obviously in big trouble. And the Whitney Forum, you know as well as me, is a real weapon.
Yeah, that's a really tough environment to go and play in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, whether it be the regular season or the playoffs. It doesn't matter. It's a tough place to play. Next up, the team that Flin Flon beat in the first round of the playoffs, which was another great series. The playoffs last year, sidebar, unbelievable postseason in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. But with the Battleford North Stars, you know, they finished 4th in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League last year. They were probably hoping for a further playoff run, but a significant amount of players coming back for the Battleford North Stars, and one player coming back, their hometown boy, recently named captain, Jake Southgate.
Yeah, and I said many times last year, a sidebar again, that I felt the Battleford North Stars were building for this year. More than last year. So the fact that they finished 4th is so impressive. You know, Jake Southgate, local boy, great speed that really fits what Brayden Tomasco wants to do. Very north-south, very direct. He's got a bullet of a shot. Clutch guy, too, and he's got lots of pieces around him. Steve Kessler feels like he's been around forever. Holden Dole, Emmett Wurst, kind of the list goes on. You know, it's up to Lowen Kenyon and net there for Battleford, but they're as deep as anybody in the SJHL this year, and Jake Southgate's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I remember talking to Brayden Tomasco during our preseason interview for our season previews on SJHL.ca. And he said he talked to all the returning players about who they wanted to potentially name as captain, and apparently everyone said Jake Southgate. So it's very exciting to see a hometown boy be the captain of his hometown team in his final year of junior hockey. Now let's go to one of the division winners, the Melfort Mustangs. Speaking of another team with a really exciting returning core, the Melfort Mustangs, and they have a lot of great 20-year-olds coming back, and that's one player you want to highlight in between the pipes.
Absolutely. It would have been so easy for me to just say Ben Tkachuk, who I think is going to dominate, you know, every second he's on the ice in all 3 zones for Melfort this year. But there's a lot of good forwards on Melfort, a lot of good D-men on Melfort. What do you need? You need goaltending. And Joel Favreau, you know, whenever he's been healthy for Melfort, has been excellent. Health was a bit of an issue last year, but not many teams in this league, Jeromy, are sure of their goaltending coming into this league. The Melfort Mustangs are one of those teams, and having Joel Favreau is a huge part of it.
It's a very interesting year for goaltending, I think, in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, because a lot of goalies have, like you mentioned, have moved on from the league, and there's only a handful of teams that do actually have a returning netminder. So it'll be really interesting early on in the season for a lot of these teams, who is going to be the starting goaltender and who's going to take the ball and run with it. Now moving to a team that, speaking of goaltending, they unfortunately lost their goaltender in the offseason due to graduation, and that's the Humboldt Broncos. But still some really good pieces coming back for the Broncos.
Oh, yeah, great pieces for the Humboldt Broncos. If Scott Barney and the Broncos ever say they're rebuilding, say, I do not believe you. I do not believe you. And they are not rebuilding. They are retooling. No. They are going to be great. They're going to put the pieces together. They've already added some, but one guy that's back And this list is a guy returning guys specifically is Ethan Zilke, and the Broncos are thrilled and very excited for him. Committed to Lindenwood, Division I NCAA, a new program in St. Louis, and he's a guy that started the year maybe off the radar, worked and got himself on, even with a Humboldt team that had a lot of major junior guys. Had Connor McGrath and Matthew Perkins, NHL draft watch list guys. So, he kept working and finding his way for opportunities. Still had 36 points, and he's an incredible face-off guy. So he's just going to keep being more of an offensive piece for Humboldt. And Scott Barney just loves him because that development arc just keeps going up and up and up.
And he's going to have more opportunity this year too, which is even more exciting for Ethan. Finally, we go to the reigning, defending SJHL champions down in Estevan. Obviously, everyone knows last year the Estevan Bruins were, loading up for the Centennial Cup. They played host to the event, automatic ticket in. So as a result, they lost a lot of players this year. But there are still a handful of returning players and a lot of good pieces coming back. And one of them is another local player, Jamie.
Yeah, kind of a local favorite, farm boy, second generation Bruin, second kid of that family, I guess I should say, to play for the Bruins. Of course, his big brother, Jaden Davis, plays over here at the University of Regina. He played for the Bruins as well. And, Cody, is he the fastest guy in the league? I would put money on him, good money. He can fly. Some people say maybe he got fast. Can he translate that great speed to be a consistent offensive producer for this Estevan team? He already does so many good things. 200 feet of the ice, hard-nosed guy. Jason Tatarnik, loves the guy that can skate, and he can really skate. He was a bit snake-bitten in the playoffs, hard on both sides of the puck, though. And, I think this year, Jason Tatarnik will give him the opportunity that I think he deserves.
Well, I was just going to say, too, when you have 11 goals, 21 assists last year, especially with how much offensive talent the Estevan Bruins had last year, for Cody playing a middle six role, he is going to just excel if he gets the opportunity to bump up into that top six or even playing in the top line role.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they loaded up for the Centennial Cup, and certainly they did lose a ton of important pieces. But Jason Tatarnik only knows one way, and that's great news if you're an Estevan Bruins fan. He 100%. Only knows, how do we win the championship this year? That is the way Jason Tatarnik thinks. And that is the way he's going to be building. He's made a couple more deals recently with Drayton Valley there, and he's going to bring in a couple more major junior guys, I'm sure, too. So, Cody Davis is going to have lots of guys around him. Their decor is already maybe the best in the league, along with Flin Flon. Big surprise, those are the two teams who were in the finals last year. That's where I would put my money for those two, the best decors in the league. So Cody Davis is going to, get an opportunity, as you mentioned, to put some points up front.
And there's going to be a lot of great, rookies coming into the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. But for fans out there, looking at, returning players, I think this is a great list to kind of look at and, keep your eye out for a lot of these players moving forward, because a lot of these players are poised to have great years. And it's an exciting time because I think I was looking at the SJHL website last night, and I think about 16 of the top 20 scorers last year are no longer in the league due to graduation. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity this year for some younger players and people stepping up.
Yeah, lots of opportunity. Both guys who are brand new to the league and guys who maybe had a smaller role last year because they were younger and get to jump in, like an Ethan Zilke, like Holden Dole, who's already lighting it up for Battlefords.
Right.
He had a hat trick against Lloydminster yesterday or 2 days yesterday. Yep. The list goes on. So it's going to be exciting. Coaches, as I mentioned earlier, keep giving younger guys more opportunities, and they're proving them geniuses so far. So it's great to see.
It's very great to see. It's an exciting time. The regular season kicks off on Friday. Of course, this is the first episode of SJHL Weekly. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we go to break, I've got to give a huge shout out to all of our great sponsors here for the SJHL Weekly: Chevrolet, RBC, Viterra, SaskTel, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Tourism Saskatchewan, of course, the Regina Exhibition Association. We talked about it at the start of the show. Thank you so much for letting us have the show here at the Cooperators Center. It doesn't get much better than this for a view for the show. So a big shout out and a big thank you to all of our sponsors. But it's time to take a break. When we come back, we will be joined by the commissioner of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, Kyle McIntyre, and get his thoughts on his, first 6 months on the job and what he's looking forward to for the 2022-2023 Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League regular season. This is SJHL Weekly on all the SJHL social media platforms.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere, keeping you connected to your family and friends, to your history and culture, to those traditions that make us who we are. SaskTel cares, always has, always will, because we're dedicated to our home.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province, we're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Boost your efficiency and your bottom line with Young's equipment and Case IH tractors, including the cutting-edge Puma 150 CVX and the Maxim 145 with best-in-class efficiency. Check out the Case IH lineup today at Young's Equipment.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly. My name is Jeromy Corrigan, and we are pleased to be joined by the Commissioner of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, Kyle McIntyre. Kyle, how's it going today?
Just excellent. Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
Well, it's an exciting time. The SJHL regular season begins on Friday, but I guess before we get to the regular season, how has it been for you, I guess personally, since taking over as commissioner of this league?
Well, you know what? It's been a whirlwind. I've met lots of boards. I've met lots of coaches. I met lots of people around the league. So it's certainly been excited meeting a number of people. And everywhere I go, I can see there's a lot of passion for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League.
First question for me, Kyle. Why on earth would you want to be the commissioner of a junior hockey league? It seems like a job where you're always taking criticism, and it's difficult in this day and age. So, what was your thought process for deciding to go for it?
Well, thank you for welcoming me to the league, Nugsy.
I'm asking the hard questions.
Boy, going right for the juggler. You know what? I've had a lot of passion for this league since I was a player, and certainly I can see the potential, and I'm really interested in making the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League premier again. I do believe it's Western Canada's best junior A hockey league, and I certainly want to put the time and effort into making it so. And you know what? Not everything you're going to do is going to be popular. I'm not in it to win a popularity contest. I'm in it to advance our league and to profile and market our players and our teams.
Now, you took over at a time, too, when, it was a pretty busy time for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, playing host to the Centennial Cup in Estevan. Do you think there were some benefits of taking over at that time?
Well, certainly there was. Jumped in the pond with both feet, and
right.
Certainly having Bill Chell available. Bill has been absolutely excellent, been a good mentor. When there's a question that I don't know or something I want to find out, I'll fire him an email or a text, and he's been readily available. And yeah, it was a very busy time of year. I didn't realize how busy it would be. The Centennial Cup, you were talking about the 10 teams in the last segment, and you know what, honestly, having been there every day and watching every game, you do get hockey fatigue, which kind of surprised me, right? It's a lot of teams. The good thing about it is it's a great opportunity for all the leagues to see what it takes to get next level and play against some good competition. And so, we went from the Centennial Cup into our AGM. We did some strategic planning and set some goals in hockey operations and marketing and business operations. Then we had our AGM, and then we had our scheduling meeting. So it's been bang, 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 bang. And of course, most of the summer, being new to the position, I was without my director of marketing, who started on August the 2nd. So I got into the sponsorship and marketing and learned that aspect of the league, which was invaluable for me. Right. And then certainly bringing on IKS Media and our media manager, that was another void, because I really thought we needed to do a better job on our social channels. Certainly Nugsy and Rory did a great job with SJHL this week, but certainly there's more to social media than just an online show, right? So again, we're all working from the same song sheet. We have a plan, and we're going to do our very best to market this league to the rest of Saskatchewan and the rest of North America.
You mentioned the vision, the grand vision, and one of the hot button topics that all the hockey fans out there, the parents, players, the great vision, the great conversation that people often have is, what is the vision when it comes to, is this a league for 20-year-olds? Is this a league for younger kids? Is this league for major junior guys? This is a college-focused league. What do you say to people who have that kind of a question?
Yeah, well, you know what, Jamie, it can't be all things to all people. Right, and so my mandate, I've been pretty open and honest with this. I want to put the Saskatchewan back in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Like 38% of our kids are from Saskatchewan. In my view, that's not high enough. I want to do a better job marketing our league. We probably had 67 kids go on to some kind of post-secondary opportunity. That's like 24%. That's probably not high enough. And so my thought is that I want to have a better relationship with our 18U AAA League, with our Prairie Junior League, and I want to see more Saskatchewan kids playing in the league. So for me, I really don't have a preference whether someone is starting out as a 16 or 17-year-old kid that's a high-ender and maybe using that as a stepping stone for the USHL or for the WHL, or whether it's a 19 or 20 who maybe didn't get the opportunities they wanted to get, playing in the Western League that's coming back. The key piece for me is having Saskatchewan kids.
And one thing that's going to help with you is that new partnership with Saskatoon Minor Hockey. Do you want to just maybe speak about that agreement that between the SJHL and Saskatoon Minor Hockey for the U15 League?
Yeah, the U15A. So we're going to have 8 teams that are wearing Saskatchewan junior jerseys and monikers, and it's really quite exciting. And that was really something that Saskatoon Minor Hockey really initiated. I think they did start the discussion with Bill, and they completed it with me. And certainly there's going to be a lot of kids who played that 15UA level that might be late developers, and these are kids in Saskatoon that maybe weren't aware of the possibilities of playing for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and now the door is wide open, right? So hopefully we're going to get some of those teams together at Showcase and have them connect with the older teams, maybe do a skate, a photo op, maybe a lunch, and so some of these kids can really see that the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League is an option for their future right in the province.
And I think just to follow up with that too is, I know you and I have talked about too, is development. Everybody doesn't have the same path when it comes to development. So to have this partnership with the U15A League is going to be really helpful for some of those kids that might be late bloomers.
Yeah, hockey is the thing about development. It's not a linear path for every kid, right? There's peaks and there's valleys. There's kids that might be late growers. There might be kids that come to the sport late, and usually about that 15 or 16 year. Kids are going to specialize in a sport, right? And so again, 15UA, just because you're playing A and not playing AA or AAA doesn't mean that your hockey journey is over. If kids are committed and want to become good players and they can see the role models that we'll have in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, it most certainly is a viable opportunity for them for their future.
Yeah, one thing that I know about you, Kyle, in your short time that we've known each other so far is that you love hockey, you love watching hockey, you love being around, you love talking hockey. So what are some of your impressions from the preseason about the quality and the style of play in this league so far?
You know what? I was out in Ochapowace the other night, Ochapowace First Nation, watching Wayway Sakapo play Estevan. And you know what? It might have been one of the best games I've seen since last spring's playoffs between Estevan and Flin Flon. It was fast, there was hitting, there was checking, there was scoring, there was a penalty shot, there was the odd tilt, and then there was overtime. Like, it was an absolutely incredible game. And so really what I've seen this fall in our exhibition series is that there seems to be a better competitive balance than maybe what we saw in the league last year. Like, even some of the teams you talked about in last segment that had difficulty scoring, like, it seems maybe some of those teams have found some scoring. So it's going to be really exciting to watch how things unfold, as we have 12 teams that are potential Cantera Seeds Cups champions right now. So we'll see how that unfolds. Probably by the first week of December, we'll have a pretty good idea of who's going to be the contenders and who's going to be the pretenders.
And I think that's got to be one thing you must love as a commissioner compared to maybe some other junior A leagues, is the parity in the league. Is every community, every team has a chance at the beginning of the year, and really each and every year it seems like there's a different team coming out on top.
Well, and you know what? I guess there would be some people that are perennial favorites and people that always have competitive teams, right? But there's some teams this year that maybe weren't as competitive last year. Like, you look at the Millionaires, for example. They got quite a lineup. I've seen them play probably 3 times during the preseason, and they got some exciting players as well. I look at Battleford, and you know what? Battleford probably didn't have the playoff that they wanted to have last year. I think they have some things to prove. Melfort went out early to the Terriers last year. I think with the number of 20-year-olds they have, they're looking to make a run. So it's going to be pretty exciting, and hopefully at the end of the day, our top 8 are truly top 8, and hopefully the teams that would be from 9 to 12 aren't too far out of the playoffs, right?
And you talk about marketing the players in this league. Obviously, we market the franchises, but more importantly, we market the players and get them on to wherever their goals are. That's what we're doing here in a big way. And a big part of that for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League the last number of years has been the SJMJ Showcase that's been played at this rink here. But can you give us any news, any update on where things stand in terms of what's going to happen this year?
Yeah, so there's going to be an SJMJ, our own showcase, of course, is from the 24th to the 26th in Warman, and that's going to be solely Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League teams. Then the MJSJ showcase is going to be the end of January, beginning of February. And typically, we haven't decided on the format, but typically there's an older team and a younger team, right? And when you look at Central Scouting or the NCAA or U Sport or ACAC, they want to see a lot of the younger guys, right? So especially the NHL, they really want to see the 16 and 17-year-old kids in both those games. So hopefully, we're going to have some young guns in the league that will make some impressions with the scouts and with the hockey community. And so typically what happens is that we have every team nominate players for that MJSJ showcase, and then we have the coaches through a coaching poll kind of rank the players and decide who's going to be in the final lineup. So those details are to come, but it looks like it's probably going to be in Winnipeg or Selkirk.
I guess my final question for you, Kyle, you took over obviously at a very busy time last year during the Centennial Cup, but now it's your first full year in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League as commissioner. What are your goals for your very first year, and what would you like to accomplish?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're 5 months in, and certainly we did build a strategic plan with the Board of Governors, and we're on track for that. So we had some goals in terms of marketing the players and marketing the team, some things we want to do in social media, and certainly, Jeromy being our media manager, you're part of that, and you're aware of some of that stuff. We have some goals in terms of being fiscally solvent as a league and as franchises, and certainly the way you do that, you put fans back in the building. And so, you know what, this year we're going to have a full return to play. We got teams that are super competitive. We have volunteers and boards that are very excited. They've been doing lots of work preparing for the season. And so certainly my goal is to see fans back in the arena and to see all our franchises being fiscally solvent and being competitive on the ice, and certainly competitive on the books as well. So that would probably be a couple of my major goals. And then finally marketing kids, right? So the number of 24%, that's a benchmark for me, and I certainly want to see us go higher with that. And you do that by building relationships with NCAA and with U Sport and with ACAC. And so I've been reaching out to various coaches and programs here the last couple months and trying to get them interested in our league and trying to introduce myself to them and talk about what we're doing as a league. So I think that, we're going to have a great season. I think we got lots of exciting things happen. I think that if people tune into our social channels or to YouTube or our Facebook Live, they're going to see that you guys are doing a great job and you guys are passionate about it. And there's a lot of passion in Saskatchewan for the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And, again, I think it's the best league in Canada, and I certainly want to do a better job celebrating that and sharing that with people. And of course, as you're aware, we're doing a major upgrade with our Hockey TV cameras. And so certainly if you watched in the last few years, you'd see some broadcasts that maybe were difficult to make out players, or maybe some players, some healthy scratches, weren't necessarily following the play the way they should have been following it. So we're trying to eliminate those variables, and certainly teams, our fans are going to be able to follow their home team when they're on the road, and people from outside of our province, they can catch us on the Hockey TV and see what a great product we have here.
But first-class broadcasters, though, right?
Well, in some markets, yes.
You're only joking. I was going to say, though, that you have a marketing idea right there for a T-shirt. There's a lot of passion in Saskatchewan. I like it.
Oh, boy, there we go.
There you
There you
go.
go. That could be a side
That's
hustle
why they
for
pay
you.
you the big bucks.
Yeah, there's a side hustle for us that we can sign on. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We know you're a busy man right now with the start of the season, but thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the start of the regular season.
Well, I'll tell you
on
what,
Friday.
guys, thanks for your passion for the SJHL, and we'll certainly see you in the rinks.
All right, that is the Commissioner, Kyle McIntyre. After the break, we will get some way too early predictions from our good friend Neugebauer over here. This is SJHL Weekly on all of the SJHL social media platforms.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere, keeping you connected to your family and friends, to your history and culture, to those traditions that make us who we are. SaskTel cares, always has, always will, because we're dedicated to our home.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at sastel.com/fresh start.
Boost your efficiency and your bottom line with Young's equipment and Case IH tractors, including the cutting-edge Puma 150 CVX and the Maxim 145 with best-in-class efficiency. Check out the Case IH lineup today at Young's Equipment.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly, a very exciting chat with Commissioner Kyle McIntyre. A lot of good points, and of course, we're going to have Kyle on throughout the SJHL season. A lot to get to, a lot of exciting new partnerships, but we kind of teased it during the last segment, and that is our way too early predictions for the 2022-2023 Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League season. I know we were briefly talking about it during the beginning, or before the show, I should say. And there's definitely a lot of interesting, I guess, arguments for certain topics. But Neugebauer, you ready? You ready for some early predictions?
I'm ready to get yelled at. That's what's going to
Well, we're gonna
get some angry text messages.
We are gonna clip every single one, and then we're gonna put it up on social. No, I'm kidding. But we will clip them, and we'll see if you're right at the end of the year.
Sure, that sounds
good?
great.
All right, first one I got for you.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to be the top goaltender in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League this season, and why?
Well, the easy answer is Joel Favreau of the Melfort Mustangs. A .926 save percentage in the playoffs. The Mustangs got upset. Not his fault, I don't think. I think Favreau's got a great team in front of him, too, to really help him out. Very talented kid. Great competitor. He is a fiery kid in net for Melfort, too. So my pick is Joel Favreau.
And there's a couple other goalies, too, that could potentially be it. Like Cam Herdlicka down in Estevan. We saw how great his numbers were last year for the Estevan Bruins, and in limited action with a very good team in front of him. But he's going to get the starter's role this year, and we'll see if he can kind of run with it.
Yeah, heard Licka's an option. The kid that Humboldt picked up from the queue there, Boileau, is an option. Obviously, Humboldt's going to have an incredible decor as well. And anybody who's in net for Flin Flon, maybe me in net for Laser Hume, they got there from Nipawin, very talented. Harmon Laser Hume, very talented young man as well. Again, they're going to be a very good defensive team. Flin Flon, very tough to score on. So, again, whoever's in net for Flin Flon has got a good shot too.
And there's going to be a lot of new goaltenders in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League that, quite frankly, right now we don't know too much about. So it could be somebody else. This is why they're just way too early predictions because, quite frankly, we're just guessing right now.
Yeah, comment in. Tell me I'm an idiot. That's fine with me.
Well, maybe not that far. You're not that bad.
Appreciate it.
All right, next one. Who do you think is going to be the top scorer? Now, there's a lot of good options for this question.
Yeah, there are a lot of good options, and here's my proof, Mike Rooney, that I have nothing against the Melville Millionaires. I absolutely think Noah Wills is going to light the league on fire, and I think Millionaires need him to light the league on fire. As good as their roster is, he's going to be the focal point of a lot of what the Melville Millionaires are going to do offensively. So I'm going to go with Noah Wills. And also make make friends with the commissioner because I think Noah's a Swift Current kid. So there you go, Noah Wills, Melville Millionaires.
And I mean, we both saw him during the preseason for Melville, and he has just been flying so far. And you mentioned it when he was the player to keep an eye out for Melville. He skates so well. Yeah. Nobody can hit him. And then you mentioned it. I love the little tidbit too, the fact that he has a 98% average
Doesn't
in
hurt.
school. That doesn't, well, and it comes especially with hockey IQ too. That helps a lot as well.
Yeah, certainly there are a bunch of good options. Any of those kids in Battlefords, Jake Southgate, Steve Kessling. Obviously, I mentioned Jaden Mercier. He's going to be lethal. Kind of the list goes on. There's going to be a lot of good weapons around the league. There's going to be a lot of goals scored around the league. So, there's that, but I'm going to stick with Noah Wills. And what I saw in the preseason from Noah does not take, any of that thought away from me.
And we mentioned, too, there's going to be a lot of new names up at the top of the leading scorers this year in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League because 16 of the 20 leading scorers from last year in the top 20 are now graduated, and there's only 4 returnees. So it should be really interesting when it comes to the points race. Now, let's get into the team talk. Let's look at these divisions. And these divisions are, I mean, we were talking about it with the commissioner. The parity in this league is unbelievable. But when you look at these divisions, let's start with the Sherwood division. Who do you think has the edge coming out on top in the Sherwood?
Yeah, boy, is it ever a war up there every year, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
100%.
They just kill each other up there. And, man, it's gonna be a dogfight.
Yeah.
A dogfight, especially since Nipawin and Larange, I think, are heading back on track.
Yeah,
so it's going to be crazy tough. I went back and forth. Is it Melfort? Is it Flin Flon? Is it Melfort? Is it Flin Flon? Is it Melfort? Is it Flin Flon? I'm going to stick with Melfort here. I think they're just that deep. Benny Tkachuk. Is he the best all-around player in the league? I would argue he is. Up front there for Melfort, so I'm going to go with the Mustangs.
Okay, well, to play devil's advocate, then I'll take Flin Flon. How's that sound? And then we'll find out at the end
get
of
an
the
angry
year.
Text from Mike Reagan. There we go.
He's probably already texted you. You better check your phone quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move to the Global Ag Risk division. It's an interesting division, too. We've already mentioned kind of Battleford is bringing back a lot of returning players, but who do you think's finishing out on top on that one?
Well, then I go back and forth. Just driving here, Battleford, is it Humboldt? Is it Battleford, is it Humboldt? So the thing is, you take the team with the elite defense like Humboldt, or you take the team with the elite offense right now in Battleford's.
Right.
And for a while there, I was thinking Battleford's because they have all these guns. But in the end, I'm going to go back to Humboldt, and Rory's going to love it. The Dalen Weagle is going to light this league up on fire, like in the back end. They got Karsten Cater, who may be an NHL draft prospect too pretty soon on the back end there. The list goes on. Ethan Zilke up front. They're going to keep adding. So I'm going to go just slightly, maybe 1 point Humboldt, maybe like a tiebreaker over Battleford. So there you go.
All right. Well, then I'll take Battleford. How's that sound?
Okay.
That works. I really, honestly, doing my prep for the show, I really like Battleford's returning group. They have some really key weapons coming back. And, I mean, Braden Klamosko's won Coach of the Year 2 years in a row. So I can't I can't really argue against
Yeah,
that.
it'll be between the goaltending. Lowen Kenyon, is he the
Yeah,
answer in Battleford?
sure.
Is this Boileau, new gentleman in Humboldt, is he the answer? And that's what it'll come down to, I think.
And then again, obviously, you know, the other teams in the division too. It looks
Yeah.
like they've improved.
Oh
too.
yeah. Well, Kindersley has all that continuity on the back
Yeah.
end, and Notre Dame, you know, is Jared Sitch the best all-around defenseman in the league? There's certainly an argument there. He's the only Division I committed defenseman in the league. He's been immense in the preseason for Notre Dame. Sam Kroon's got a lot to prove. This Luke Helgeson kid they brought in from Alaska has been immense as well. So very, very interesting division again. Every division in this league is just nuts. So who knows?
It's extremely difficult,
nuts.
and that's why these are way too early predictions because it's going to be very tough. I think all these divisions are going to be very tight, and they're going to come down kind of probably to the last couple of weeks of the season when it comes to determining a champion. Finally, the Viterra division. Obviously, Estevan kind of ran away with it last year, which is a little bit to be expected with them loading up for the Centennial Cup. But now they don't have too many players coming back, but a lot of new faces coming in. But there's some continuity with some other teams. So who do you think comes out on top?
Well, I think the first thing I'll say about the Viterra is that the rivalries in the Viterra are probably the most unfriendly rivalries.
I'd agree with that.
There's mean-heartedness between the fan bases in this division, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for the spice and the fire. I love it. So Estevan and Weyburn keep hating each other. There you go. Oh man. Yeah. Again. So again, back and forth in my head here. Lot to like in Melville. But Jason Tatarnic, again, a decor that is not going to be super pretty in Estevan, but they're going to be mean and big and play the right way, and Kamerlik is going to stop a lot of pucks, and they're going to find weapons and goals over the course of the year. Hard to bet against Jason Tatarnic and the Estevan Bruins, so I'm going back to Estevan for you there.
I think it's always tough to bet against the team that won it the previous year, too. The defending champs, right? But, you know, for argument's sake, and to pick a different team, I will say Melville because of that returning group. You have Noah Wills, like you mentioned. He might be one of the top scorers in the league. According to you, he's going to be #1. So that's, that's a great way to, be up there when it comes to the team. So I'll say Melville, but it's like we mentioned, every team in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League this year really has a chance to win because the parity in this league is unbelievable. And we've talked to numerous broadcasters, and it's a tough thing right now to predict.
Yeah, absolutely. And the health of Zach Kane is so big for Melville, too. What a great kid, great leader. He's their captain. So, I think Melville is going to be right back in the thick of things where that great fan base deserves it to be.
Sure.
Again, I went back and forth between Estevan and Melville. You know, Yorkton is going to be so tough. Matt Hare is so good at coaching the kind of underdog, the scrappy, difficult team to beat. You know, and obviously Cody Mapes has done a tremendous job rebuilding there in Weyburn. You know, Ty Mason, who I just love. Miquan Tallman came in, and it was fantastic for Weyburn up front too. Lots to like in Weyburn. There's lots to like everywhere in this league, Jeromy.
Yeah.
You know, Larange has some pieces that I love too. The Walker Texas Ranger, Walker Jerome out there, I adore him too. So there's so much to like on every team in this league, and it's going to give us so much to talk about.
That's what I love about this league because there's a lot of positives from every organization in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, obviously, especially at the beginning of the season. Everybody's excited about their group coming into the year, and then once the puck drops on Friday, that's when we start to kind of see things come into fruition. Do you want to pick, I know you just picked your division winners, do you want to pick a team that's going to finish in first in the conference or in the standings?
You mean like regular season?
In the regular season, right at the top. Do you want to pick who's going to finish at the top, or do you want to just leave it at that?
I can pick it.
Sure.
I feel fine, and just start celebrating at the Northern Lights Palace up in Melfort. Matty Barrett, get yourself a nice beverage. The Melfort Mustangs are going to be tough to beat in all three zones. Again, with Joel Favreau settled in net there, I think the Mustangs are the deepest team in this league right now. Lots can change, but right now I think they are. So I'm going to just throw out the Melfort Mustangs.
Perfect. We'll clip that, and we'll see where that is at the end of the season. Opening weekend this Friday. Beginning this Friday, 5 games on Friday, 5 games on Saturday, and of course the one on Sunday. What are you most excited to for opening weekend?
Oh, does it get, you know what, this is going to get me in trouble. That's
Is
fine.
it?
That's fine. Is there a more fun place than the Whitney Forum in Flin Flon when it's bouncing. I know my pal Jacob, the marketing guy of the league over there, is sitting there as a huge fan of the Whitney Forum up there. Melfort at Flin Flon to start the year.
Yep.
It's going to be epic. Flin Flon with an epic Cinderella run to the finals.
Yeah.
They don't think they were Cinderellas. I don't think they were Cinderellas. But
Nope.
some people say the number 5 team in the league making the finals is Cinderella.
Sure.
But the Flin Flon Bombers coming off of all that energy from the Centennial, how well they did there, and into the SJHL, and that's going to be epic. And then the Yorkton Terriers. They take on the Estevan Bruins right off the hop. And if there was one team that was the Estevan Bruins bugaboo, kryptonite, last year just a little bit, it was Matt Hare's Yorkton Terriers. Gave them a headache until the playoffs. But during the regular season in the Viterra, that was, a tough thing. And then you throw Kindersley Battlefords in the same rink together. It's always messy.
It's always messy.
So those are my 3, really.
I was going to say Yorkton and Estevan will be a fun one because you mentioned, obviously they don't.
No.
Really, you mentioned that whole Viterra division.
They don't like each other.
It's not just Melville Yorkton.
Nope.
It's not just Estevan Weyburn. The whole division just does not like each other. And that's what you have to like about that division. But I would say Yorkton and Estevan because it's going to be a special night in Estevan. You get to hang up a banner. That's very exciting. And then on the flip side, on Saturday, the second matchup at the home and home, it's the home opener for the Terriers and celebrating their 50th anniversary. So it's going to be a special night in both those rinks.
Yeah, and obviously Pistol Pete Saragella and his crew are going to be there serving up delicious eats at Affinity Place.
Do not get me started.
And the Tower Pizza, so good.
We could do a whole hour show talking about the Tower Pizza.
Oh, I had a lot of it in the finals of the Centennial Cup. Let me tell you, again, I might get in trouble. I think it's the best pizza in Saskatchewan. Don't get me. Don't at me. Or you can at me. At me if you want. Tower Pizza, Pistol Pete Saragella, amazing guy. Estevan, you're right. It's going to be a special place.
I was going to pump it up even more, but we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that for now. But, I mean, you look at the matchups across the league for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, you're going to be busy on Saturday and Sunday between Humboldt and Notre Dame. But that Kindersley Battleford one's also a fun one because you mentioned those two teams really don't like each other.
No, yeah, and it doesn't matter where Battleford's is or Kindersley is in the schedule and the standings. Nope. They get at it. It's a 1-goal game. It's feisty. There's a brawl, and Ken Plaquin. The hardest thing I think for a general manager at the junior A level is quality continuity.
Yeah.
And they have Braden Cook back. They have Liam Bell back. They have Josh Morton back. They have Brett Sweet back in net. They've got a bunch of options there in Kindersley. They're going to be a tough team to score on. Can they find some goals? You heard Kyle McIntyre talk about how teams are looking to find some goals. Kindersley needs to find some goals. They're going to keep the puck out. And Josh Morton, being the sheriff back there, is going to play big minutes and do really well. So, that's going to be not a walkover. Obviously, Humboldt, Notre Dame, they don't no longer play each other 10 times a year, thank goodness. But that being said, it's always a special atmosphere at the Elgar Peterson Arena on a Saturday night. Notre Dame Hounds, in town, obviously lots to prove, have not won too many games at the Elgar Peterson the last 5 or 6 years. I've only broadcasted one Notre Dame Hounds win at the Elgar Peterson Arena in my entire SJHL career, spanning back to 2017-18 this year. So the Hounds are hoping to break that snafu, and Scott Barney and the Broncos have no interest in that happening. So it should be very interesting.
Final question for you, Jamie, before we wrap things up for episode 1 of SJHL Weekly. What are you most looking forward to this year in the SJHL?
I just love those rivalry nights.
Yeah,
I love the Estevan Weyburn when the fans are not happy with each other. And I love going to Flin Flon and the place is going ballistic. And Austin Cardell is still smiling at you, but the place is going ballistic. Right. And, the fine folks up in Kindersley and Battleford's yelling at each other. I just love the spice and the juice and the passion that this league has, this province has, and the people in Flin Flon have for this league. To feel that energy again like we felt it in the finals was so special, Jeromy, and I'm so excited, and I know you are, I know Jacob is, and everybody here at IKS Media is just so excited to share that with all of you at home.
And we are very happy to be back in the rink and back doing this show and we are excited for the regular season. A big shout out once again to the Regina Exhibition Association and our friends here at the Cooperators for letting us do the show from here. And of course, we have to shout out all of our sponsors: Chevrolet, RBC, SaskTel, Viterra, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Tourism Saskatchewan for sponsoring our show and helping us put on this great product for you, the fan at home. And we are excited to be doing this every Monday. And the other exciting thing is we have another show also happening and starting on Thursday, that being SJHL Insider. So you'll get lots of hockey talk from the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League moving forward. It's an exciting time to be a hockey fan here in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, exciting. Comment in, be part of the show with us. I know Jacob Leegie's family, Notre Dame Hounds forward there in Michigan, tuned in on YouTube. Know a lot of people out there messaging in as well. So we see your comments. Ask questions. We'll interact with them. We want to hear from you and be part of the show just as much as Rory, Jeromy, and I.
And once we get into our studios and our permanent home, your comments and everything will be on our beautiful screen, so we can actually, see them pop up, which will be very exciting. But thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to like the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm probably missing 5 other social medias because there's so many these days. But be sure to follow us everywhere you can for the latest and the greatest in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. For Jamie, my name's Jeromy Corrigan. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week on SJHL Weekly.